Now let's start making this procedural house, and it is very simple procedural house. And let me show you. If I go in the edit mode, and first let me show you its mesh. It is like this, very simple shape. And this is extra things which are done using Geometry Node. And if I extrude this top face, you can see these came automatically. And we are going to make this simple house. And these are some components which we will use. Door, stair, and these are windows, chimney, solar panels, stair. So let's start. First, let's move this to side. GY. Shift A, add a cube, add a geometry node. And now, first tab to go in the edit mode, make a loop cut. But before that, let's move this face on the Z axis. Now, Control R, make a loop cut, deselect the top edge, press X, and dissolve edges. And move this edge on the Z axis. Now, the first thing we will do is to separate the top face. For that, we need separate geometry node, switch to face, pull it out, add a compare node, change it to vector, and a normal node. One on the Z, increase the epsilon to 0.999. If I set the epsilon to 1, then we will also have side faces, and we don't want that. So type 0.999 and you will only have top faces. Now let's extrude these faces. We are making the roof. Uncheck this individual and decrease the offset scale. And now on this top face, we will place solar panel. So for that, we need mesh to points node and select this top face. Switch it to faces. Now we have these 2 points. And on these points, we will place solar panel. For that, we need instance on points. Pull it out, add object info node. And solar panel 1. Okay. Now we need to rotate it. And for that, we need to capture face normal of this top face. Now let's add capture attribute node. Plug it on this one. Switch to vector, face, and normal. Pull it out, add align nebular to vector. And now plug this attribute in the vector. And now we need to change the axis. Okay, this is Z axis. How to know which axis to choose? There is a way. If I select this solar panel, then T and click on this move tool. You can see this is its local axis. This is its Z axis, but first let me switch to local axis. Okay, so this is its Z axis. And we will use Z axis. And now we need rotate instance node. -90 on the Z axis. Scale it down. And now we need the top face back. This is the bottom face. This one is the bottom face. And this has been extruded to make the top face. And now we need both these faces. So we need a join geometry node. And this one will go in the geometry of the capture attribute. Now we need one more geometry node. Okay. Now the next thing is to get the body. But before that, let's place these objects. So this door is on the front and these items are also on the front. And there is nothing in the back. And on the side walls, in the left and right, we have windows. So first, let's separate front face. Shift T to duplicate this, and let's make a reroute here. Pull it out. Once again, a reroute node. Plug this in the geometry. And now we need to separate front face. Shift T, plug this result in the selection, and reset this epsilon to 0.001. No, that is 0.001. It doesn't matter. Okay, 1 on the X. Now we have front face. And we need mesh to points node. Switch it to face and instance on points. And here we will add these objects. Pull it out, object info node, and choose this door. And connect this to join geometry. Now we need to add side faces. Pull it out, not this one. A reroute node, separate geometry node, and we need side faces, which means we don't want this top face, and also we don't want the bottom face. So we can use this node. Pull it out, add a knot node, not the top face, and we need side faces. Shift D, and we also need to remove bottom face. So reset this to 0.001 and -1. Change equal to not equal. And we need AND node. Duplicate this. Switch to AND. And now plug this to selection. Now we have only side faces. And now we need to join it with join geometry. And here you can see we need to scale the rooftop. And for that we can use scale elements node. Make a reroute node here. And we will use scale elements just before this reroute node. Scale elements. And here you can see there is some gap after scaling, and we need a transform geometry node to fix that. Transform geometry. Okay, now we need to move this solar panel just a little bit more on the z-axis. We need translate instance node and move it on the z-axis. Now it is done and we have this door. And now let's add other objects. Shift T, and this is stair and this circular window. We need join geometry. Now let's set the origin of these objects and origin of this door. But first let me just turn it off. Okay, origin of this door is on the back and origin of these two elements are on their geometrical origin. But now what I'm going to do is select this one, Shift S, cursor to selected, and now select these objects, right click, set origin to 3D cursor. You can see they are aligned. I have not done this thing in this one, and that's why there is some problem. But don't worry about that. That will be fixed in this one. I did this because I wanted to show you that there are two ways. First way is the way I have done, and the second one is this one. Instead of changing the origin, you can also use transform geometry. And now what we need is to translate them on the z-axis. We need transform geometry, move it down on the z-axis. But first, let me fix this one. And for that, select all of these, Control X to remove them without breaking the connection. And now we need transform geometry. Okay. Now we need to make the base part of this house. So first let's select the base, Shift T, and pull it out, add a reroute node, plug this to geometry, and duplicate this, Control Shift T. We need bottom face, -1 on the Z, and plug this result in the selection. Now we have the bottom face, and now we need to extrude this. This much is good enough. And now once again extrude the top face, not the top face, side face, and uncheck this individual. And we need to join it back with the join geometry node. Make some reroute connections. Okay, now we need to transform these on the z-axis in the downward direction. I think I should move this back a little bit. This looks good enough, and now we need to apply the materials. So I have created 3 materials, one for the base, one for side walls, and one for the roof. Shift A, search for set material, and this one is base, house base, and we need one more for the side walls. Side walls, and the last one is for the roof. House roof. One thing is missing, and that is this chimney. And this is a challenge for you. First, you should try to add this chimney on the rooftop. Think how you can add it. And there is a hint. You need only 1 point to put this chimney. And think about it. Pause the video, and after that, I will give you the solution. So I hope you have done it. And now let's start implementing this chimney. And for that, we need this top face, which is right here. So pull it out, add a reroute node, and now add scale elements node, and we need to connect it to join geometry. But first, let's view this. And now I'm going to scale this to 0 and use merge by distance node. Here we have 6 vertices, and on this point we have only 1 vertex. And now I can use instance on points node, add object info, pick the chimney, which is right here. And now let's see where it is. This is so big. So reduce the scale, and we need translate instance node. And now it is done. There is one more thing. which is these windows. And for that, we need side walls. Duplicate the separate geometry, make a cut, and we need side walls. Duplicate these, one on Y, and we need one more, which is -1 on the Y. We need Boolean math node, and we need to switch it to R. Now, the next thing is mesh to points, instance on points, object info node, and we need this window. And we also need to capture face normals. In this case, we haven't used the face normal, but let's use that face normal. Here we have this geometry, and Shift A search for store named attribute. This is same as capture node attribute, but this can store the data in the name. Switch to vector, and we need face. Okay, this is face. Pull it out, add a normal node, and name it something. So this is our face normal. And now we can use that right here. Pull it out, add align Euler to vector node, and we need a named attribute. Select that name right here, face normal, and its type is vector. And plug this attribute in the vector. Now it is aligned. Where is that? Okay, first I need to connect this to join geometry. And now this is complete. If I use the same geometry on a cube, and for that I need a cube. GY alert G to reset its position. GZ1. And now let's drag and drop on this cube. Select the top face, move it on the Z axis. Here we need to expose some controls, and in the next lecture we will expose some controls to make this geometry node fit on this cube. So that's it for now, and see you in the next lecture.